Hey there guys, Kamikaze here. And today I wanted to do a video based on my collection for the PSP, PlayStation Portable. This is a system that I've owned for many, many years, and I love this system to death. It is one of my favorite handhelds, if not my absolute favorite handheld system of all time. I'm not splitting this up into any parts or anything because my collection isn't very big for the system, so I'm probably just going to put everything into just one video. But before we do that, I'd like to give a few shout outs to some of my friends here on YouTube. There is Sam from Contagious Collection, Ward Train Wins, Steve Craig Retro Games, and Ace from Fit to Play Games. Please check out their channels, and if you like what they do, please subscribe, comment, like all their content because I mean these guys are absolutely amazing and they have a lot of really good content similar to what I'm doing here with collection videos and pickups and that sort of stuff. So with that out of the way, let's get started. Now I'm gonna go over some of my loose games that I have. This first one is Blaze Blue for the PSP. I've played a lot of this on the PS3 and on the PS4, and this version's no different. It's pretty much the same exact game, but of course it's on the PSP. Not much to really say here. It's a 2D fighting game done by Arc Systems, and if you're familiar with them, you know the quality of their work is very high up there on the scale. So if you're into that hand-drawn sort of stuff, it's definitely a game worth checking out. Now, this one here I have is called Prinny 2. I haven't played too much of this either. It's supposed to be a side-scroller based on the Disgaea series. And if you guys have ever played Disgaea, it's a turn-based tactical RPG. And it's one of my favorites for many, many systems, including this one as well. Now, this game here is the last of my loose games that I have. That is Sonic Rivals 2. Basically, this is it plays kind of like the old school Sonic games, but it's you're going through all these courses and trying to outrace your competitor. It's a really decent game too, and a lot of people talk about this one. Is it my favorite Sonic game? No, but you know, if you're looking especially for a relatively cheap game on the system, that one's definitely one to look out for. Now, this one here is called Downstream Panic. I'm not too familiar with this either. I've played maybe about 5 minutes of it just to make sure it works. But basically, you're trying to lead this group of fish down into a stream and trying to prevent them from running into any hazards like sharks or dead ends or what have you. It's an interesting game. Not necessarily one of my favorites, but you know, I have it for the system, and I did get a little bit of enjoyment out of it. This one here, this is also on the PS3. Well, it's most of the games in the series is on the PS3, but this one came out for the PSP exclusively, called Resistance Retribution. I've never played this one either. I'll be honest. I've not really had taken much of an interest in it, but at some point I may try it because I do enjoy some of those dystopian kind of like war setting FPS games, so it might be something I'll eventually end up playing. This here, now this to me is the definitive version of this game because it has the most characters, the most stages, and overall I think this is a great game. Street Fighter Alpha 3 Max. This adds in 4 additional characters and has, I believe, all the modes originally seen in the Dreamcast version of this game. So if you're going to look for this game, this is the one you want to look for because this is, like I said, this is the most that they've released in one package. Very nice game too. Like Street Fighter Alpha 3, to me is one of the best Street Fighter entries ever made. And I mean, I'm talking like this is, you know, better than Street Fighter 2. I feel like it's better than even, better than Street Fighter Alpha 2. And that one's one that a lot of people enjoy, but I don't know. I just enjoy that game a lot more. Now, this one here is called Darkstalkers Chronicle. And that's something else I should mention too, is a lot of these games are um, sometimes there'll be ports of PlayStation 1 games or Sega Saturn games, or, even as far back as like there are compilations for the Turbo Graphics even on the PSP. There's just a whole bunch of games on there from different systems. Some we never got here in the United States. A lot of these games here. This is a combination of the three Darkstalker games. Well, I believe it's called Night Warriors. I'm not 100% sure, but this is a really enjoyable game. It has like the complete roster of Darkstalkers, and I believe they have like three different play modes where you play like in the style of like the first, second, and third game. I always play the third one, of course, because it seems to have like the most balance. Now these two, um, these are both based on the Final Fantasy universe, and this one is Dissidia, and we also have Dissidia. What is it? 012. They always have some really weird names for these games. I even have the one on the PlayStation 4, Dissidia 3. Now, I really enjoyed the idea of having Final Fantasy characters, in a fighting game setting. I think before that we had games like Urge Eyes, which admittingly it was cool to see Final Fantasy VII characters appear in something else other than Final Fantasy VII. But the game sucks. I mean, it's a god awful game. But Dissidia, I can't really speak too highly of it because like the gameplay mechanics are just weird. They're not like a traditional fighting game. You're in this gigantic, 3D world setting. You've got different levels of attacks. It just, to me, I mean, I really wish they would have simplified the game. But, obviously that not being the case, they're still amazing to look at. And from time to time, I will put them in and try to play them. But they most definitely are not my favorite fighting games on any system. Now, this next one I've got here, this is something I really enjoyed, and that is Mega Man Powered Up. This game is basically it's Mega Man 1, but it's been done up, it's been updated. They use chibi graphics to, they use chibi graphics for basically all their characters, even Mega Man, boss fights, everything. It's a cute little game. Um, but yes, it is just as brutally difficult as the original Mega Man, so be warned on that. It looks cute, but it does get difficult in certain parts. Now, this one I put a ton of hours in when I first got my PSP, and that is Monster Hunter Freedom 2. This game, of course, if you've played any of the Monster Hunter games, you're going to be very familiar with this one. It's basically just an open world game where you can go around with your friends killing monsters. And I mean, that's probably the most basic synopsis of this game. But I mean, you could easily put at least 10 to 20 hours into this game and not even realize what you're doing. All right, this game I've got here is Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Kingdom Hearts, and, hate me for it, whatever. I don't really care. I can't get past the idea that they've got Final Fantasy characters all looking Disneyfied, and to me, it's just, I don't know. It's a really weird thing, especially considering Final Fantasy is one of my favorite franchises in all of gaming, and to see them, looking like that, I don't know. That just kind of threw me off. And the story, good lord, the story is just very convoluted. Like you would need someone like with a degree to like try to decipher the timeline of that game. But Birth by Sleep isn't a terrible game. You get an option between three different characters to play as. And, I've maybe gotten about 10 hours in, and, it's Kingdom Hearts. Now, this game is Disgaea, what was it? Afternoon of Darkness. Now, this is an absolute gem to have on this system. They released this originally on the PlayStation 2 just as the original Disgaea. This one here, they added the ability to play in ad hoc mode. So, if you had a friend that owns this game too, you could, eventually battle them. But I never had friends that owned a PSP, so I was always by myself. Um, and by the way, if you don't know what this guy is, it's a tactical RPG, much like what I'm going to show you here, Final Fantasy Tactics. But it is there's a lot of humor to it. There's a lot of customization, and overall, I think it's probably one of the best tactical role playing games out there. And I mean, I love stuff like Fire Emblem and, of course, Final Fantasy Tactics, which eventually I will talk about. Um, but if you're into those kind of games, I would definitely give this guy a chance. None of them are really too expensive, other than Part Two for some ungodly reason. But I would absolutely give this one a chance. Now, this, of course, they brutally, talked over was Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions. Now, it's basically a port of the original Final Fantasy Tactics on PlayStation 1. They added some newer, updated cutscenes. I believe there were a couple new classes added to the game, but if you've played Final Fantasy Tactics, basically you played War of the Lions. I mean, there's not much else to really say about that game. It's a pretty decent game. It's a pretty good port, and I mean, if you don't have Tactics on your PlayStation, 1, I guess I would just go for that one. I mean, it looks a lot nicer. Now, these next two games, um, got Star Ocean First Departure and Star Ocean Second Story. Now, I had done a pickup video long ago where I was showing these games off. No, I have not gotten around to playing these yet. I'm very unfamiliar with the Star Ocean universe. I think I have maybe played a little bit of Until the End of Time, and that's been about it. I mean, I've been picking up these games and then basically forgetting about them for something else. Will I get to it? Yes, eventually I will, but I feel bad for not playing it, at least for this review. This next one I have here is Valkyrie Profile. Now, what's it? Oh yeah, it's got a subtitle of Lenneth. I'm not familiar with this one either, but I believe this was a port of the PlayStation 1 version, and please correct me if I'm wrong on that, so I'm not making these kinds of errors. But it looks really cool. I've got a few other Valkyrie profiles, and again, kind of like Star Ocean, these are ones I haven't really gotten into. So, I don't really have much to say about it. It looks really cool. I've seen, like the first, like, I want to say 20 minutes of the game just to make sure the thing worked. And then that's been about it. Um, Now, this next one here, this is also another series. For whatever reason, I just have not gotten into. I've played a lot of the Shin Megami Tensei games, though, like Digital Devil Saga, Nocturne, and this is Persona 2, Innocent Sin. Now, I was told that there were two different versions of this game made, and one of them never made it here to the United States when it was originally released on the PS1, and I believe this was the version that we never got until the PSP version came out. Now, these next two, Also, these are games that I have played though. Like I've poured countless hours into these two games, and that is Fantasy Star Portable 1 and 2. Now, these are, if you're unfamiliar with this, they're portable versions of the Fantasy Star Universe series. I was really big into this game back when the servers were still live. I think this is a really good port of that game. But if you're going for something that's authentic to having an online mode, I would definitely check out part two. The first one, it focuses more on ad hoc, but I believe there is a way you can. There's a program called Ad Hoc Mode on the PlayStation 3 you can download, and basically it uses that ad hoc signal and converts it to Wi-Fi so that you could connect to players online going that route. It's really weird, and I don't know if it ever made its way here to the United States, but if you have a Japanese account, you can definitely do it. All right, on to the last two games. This one here, a game every PSP owner should have, and that's Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core. Basically, this is the story of Zack and the story that took place before the original events of Final Fantasy VII. And it's a really cool look at this character. You still get, familiar characters from the cast like Aerith and Yuffie, Sephiroth, and there's a few other new characters that come into play, and they really help heighten the story for this game in particular. And for what it is, it's a really great game. I think it's probably one of the best on the system. And if, like I said, if you are collecting for the PSP, eventually you're going to run into that game. That thing was the hot ticket right there. Like that was the game everyone was looking for back when the PSP was somewhat relevant. And now this last game I'm going to show you, of course, this is my favorite on the system, and that is Castlevania. Uh, what was it? The Dracula X Chronicles. I didn't want to call it Dracula X because there already is a Dracula X, but this game basically it's a 2.5D remake of Rondo of Blood. But what's nice about this game is it also includes the original port of Rondo of Blood, which we never got here in the United States. So it's the first time it's ever been translated. And it also comes with a copy of Symphony of the Night, which I'm not sure which version of Symphony of the Night this is, but they did fix the the god awful dubbing from the original game on the PS1. So it does sound a lot nicer, but I'm not 100% sure if uh, this was the PlayStation version just, dubbed over, or if this was the Saturn version that came out. I'm not 100% sure on that. But it is an amazing game, and if you are looking for PSP games, I would definitely suggest this one over any of these other games. I would definitely recommend this one. So, anyways, guys, that is my PSP collection, and it looks like we're almost running into about 20 minutes there. So, if you guys like the video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Help this channel grow, and definitely check out those channels that I gave a shout out to. So, anyways, guys, thanks for watching.